If you're tired of Canadian children being bombarded with sex activism, gender confusion, and sexually explicit learning resources in school, then you're going to want to watch this interview with one of the organizers behind the second annual nationwide 1 Million March for Children, scheduled to stand against just that this Friday, September 20th.
We are not homophobic, we are not transphobic, and we are not anti-LGBTQ. The proof can be found in the very vocal detransitioners and members of the Pride community who stood by and joined us in this movement as well. Our message, to reiterate so that it is never twisted again in the media, is very clear. We stand firmly against the deliberate wave of radical sexualization of children that is becoming very commonplace in Canada, not just in our education system, but in Canadian culture as well. We stand against the deliberate effort to radicalize and normalize this throughout education.
Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News, and that was Kareem Tadros, a founder of the family-focused nonprofit called Hands Off Our Kids that's a key organizer behind the second annual 1 Million March for Children and No School Day that will be happening this Friday in many cities across the country. Unlike the state-backed media, woke unions, and not-so-tolerant LGBTQ+ activists who branded the first march as hateful and anti-inclusive, Rebel News had our boots on the ground at our special website called StopClassroomGrooming.com to show you just how diverse the parent-led protests with people of all faith and all religious backgrounds and even all sexual orientations was. They all united to stand together against sexual indoctrination in schools. And since that indoctrination hasn't stopped, the march hasn't either. And joining me now to fill you in more on that movement is Kareem Tadros.
We stand for the rights of parents to have a say in their children's education and to raise them according to their values and their beliefs. These are not children of the state, and parents do have a right to be involved in the decisions that concern their children. We will not stand by while our children are force-fed radical and dangerous ideologies. They do not align with our values, and they do not align with our God-given right to raise our children in the way that we see fit.
For those who saw it last year, I mean, just a monumental start to what has now become just an ever-growing movement. This was mothers and fathers coming together. The call was made from Ottawa that we would all come together on September 20th and stand across the nation. And we delivered. More than 1 million people showed up across, I think it was more than 90 or 100 different cities, all led by Canadians, moms and dads who just wanted to stand up and do something for their kids, to speak out against indoctrination in schools.
The other side, they're coming here to tell us they want to sexualize and indoctrinate our children. Are you agreeing with them? I wanted to tell them, we are here, we respect them. We have nothing to do with them. We respect their choice, but leave our kids alone.
Leave our kids alone.
Leave our kids alone.
Leave our kids alone.
And since then, this has grown at a remarkable rate. I mean, we have new leaders established in different cities now. We have an education wing where we're hearing from ex-teachers and ex-school board trustees and school principals about understanding how the education system really works and what's going on in there, you know, who's really in the kitchen and what decisions are being made. We have a litigation team that's also looking at policies and procedures and what things are being done right and what things aren't being done correctly at all. We have a multi-faith team with leaders from the Christian faith, Muslim faith, Jewish faith. I mean, we've really united the country in, I guess you can call it our parental instinct to want the best for our kids, and there's nothing greater than that. So we're back this year with new momentum, new faces, new cities even, and we're doing the 1 Million Person March across Canada again. Parents can expect just a day of fun for the family. Bring your kids, take them out of school. It's a chance to send a message to the schools as well.
And so I see on handsoffourkids.ca where people can find out where their demonstration or the closest one is. It says only one flag, Canadian flags only. So that's interesting. Last time when we covered, and we're going to have all hands on deck again, but last time when we covered, there were quite a bit of counter protests. Even unions got together. Quite shockingly, there was a leaked video discussing tactics like looking at people's license plates and really being in opposition of this movement.
This is absolutely crucial that we oppose this in the streets. And this is just signs that I've seen that we're rising, that this is far more than just like a far-right transphobic protest. They are fundamentally racist. They're fundamentally anti-union. They are fundamentally queer and transphobic. And it's just a matter of time before they come to us.
We've got a couple of seasoned activists who've already said that they're willing to go over and take some pictures of license plates and these are people who are willing to do this. They're people who are seasoned and make sure that they know that they're being watched.
What are your thoughts on that? And have you come across that being planned again?
Yeah, well, they really got themselves in some trouble. We haven't heard anything from the unions this year, but there are definitely posts from counter protesters who will be showing up to say their piece. And, my take on this is that I really don't think they've got the message. I can't imagine who is counter protesting a mother or a father wanting to have a say in their kids' education. So, we've been very clear about our message. We've been very transparent. We're not against anybody. We are moms and dads who have a God-given right to have a say in our kids' education. We believe education should be age appropriate. We believe a Canadian flag is the only flag that really unites all people. It's the most inclusive flag in Canada. We believe in safe spaces for all genders. Women and biological girls should have their safe spaces as well. That should not be taken away from them. These are basic fundamental things that we're talking about, and counter protesters are welcome to come. I know they'd like to show up and make some noise, and we're welcome. We'll have them, and we encourage them just listen to our message again. I think it's been misunderstood, and I think they'll find it's a reasonable one.
What are some of the examples, as you're one of the founders of this nonprofit organization, what are some of the things where you thought enough is enough, we have to do something like this?
Yeah, well, for me, this all came to light when I realized that my daughter's school, she was in grade 4 at the time, and the teacher was telling the classroom that you don't want to use words like boy and girl because they're not inclusive. Instead, they should refer to each other as person with a penis and person with a vagina. In a grade 4 classroom, that my child would refer to her classmates using their genitals. I mean, this is absurd. This is crossing a line that parents will not tolerate. Animals will go to such extremes to defend their young. You test parents and you speak to their kids like that in a classroom, you're bound to get a reaction. So this was a no nonsense area for me. We are not negotiable about this. Our kids don't belong to teachers. They don't belong to the government. They don't belong to the schools. They don't belong to the Ministry of Education. You have to go through us to be able to speak to our kids like that. A pride flag doesn't belong in a classroom. The very origin of the flag itself, it's a sexual movement, and it has no place in a classroom. And regardless of how you look at it today, the Progress Pride flag might mean something else, but it does not include all the children in that classroom. So let's bring it back to basics. Let's be inclusive. Let's include everybody. Let's not discriminate. And we do that with the red and white Canadian flag. And September 20th is really for the kids. So make sure to bring them out. This day, they're the stars of that day, and there will be activities for the children. Some places have set up face painting. Some places have balloons. Some places have other activities for the children. So this is definitely all about them. Keep the kids out of school. We do want to send a message to the schools that this is happening. We'd like them to feel the impact of it, and we want the kids to know that it's a day that's all about them.
Well, there you have it, everybody watching. That is Kareem Tadros with handsoffourkids.ca, where you can find out more information. And if you want to follow our coverage with our boots on the ground at multiple locations, that will be available at stopclassroomgrooming.com. Thanks so much.
See you all there.
Our Rebel News reporters will have their boots on the ground to show you what really takes place at the second 1 million March for Children. But in order to make sure we do so safely, we are hiring bodyguards to protect each journalist and camera person who's in the field doing just that. If you appreciate the work that we do, especially exposing the sexual indoctrination happening in our schools, please consider going to stopclassroomgrooming.com and chip in what you can to help us cover those expenses.